If there's one word that captures the essence of Commissioning Week, it is the word tradition. Every graduation event is richly embedded in the history and customs of the Academy. Some of these, such as the Color Parade on Tuesday, date back to the opening of the Academy, surviving the entire 140-year history of the Academy. Others, such as the Blue Angels, are much newer. The pageantry of Commissioning Week is not merely a series of staged events. It is the traditions and spirit of the Naval Academy. History of Yard. The United States Naval Academy was founded in 1845. It all began in 1783 when John Paul Jones, a practical seaman, was impressed with the efficiency of the French Navy, then at the height of its power. He recommended that the Academy be organized at every American Navy yard to teach young officers the latest marine technology and naval tactics. Now, John Paul Jones is considered the father of the American Navy. The original chapel, the central building in the yard, built in 1854, was commemorated in his honor. It was the site of the first graduation. In 1868, a second brick chapel was built and the old one was converted to a lyceum. The chapel in the modern yard is a third chapel built in 1908 to commemorate the discovery of John Paul Jones's remains in a cemetery in Paris. His crypt was installed in its present location beneath the main dome in 1913. Most of the religious ceremonies, as well as the organ recital during Commissioning Week, take place in this chapel. While John Paul Jones is the founding father of the Academy, many other men were responsible for its establishment. Secretary of the Navy George Bancroft, after whom Bancroft Hall is named, helped make the idea of an academy become a reality. He arranged to obtain naval facilities at no expense and to reapportion naval duties so there were no operating expenses. His actions halted all previous opposition. On August 15, 1845, the Army's Fort Severn in Annapolis was transferred to the Navy. On October 10th of the same year, the Naval Academy opened. As the Academy grew in size and recognition, new facilities were constructed. The original Bancroft Hall, now the northeast wing of the building, was built in 1904. Additional wings were added in 1906, 1917, 1932, and 1961. Today, Bancroft Hall is known to the midshipmen as Mother B, housing the entire Midshipman Brigade. It is the largest co-ed dormitory in the world, with more than 1,500 rooms, more than 4 miles of corridors, and it includes stores, shops, and recreational rooms. At the entrance of Bancroft Hall is the Tecumseh statue and tea court, which is named after this figurehead. Tecumseh was salvaged from the battleship Delaware, which was burned in 1861 to prevent capture by the Confederate Navy. The figurehead was built to commemorate Chief Tomanend, a friend to the early settlers, but this name never caught on with the midshipmen. It was assigned other names, Powhatan, King Philip, and even Old Seabury, after a resemblance to Uriel Seabury, class of 1967. Finally, Tecumseh caught on, taking the name of a renegade Shawnee chief living during the American War of 1812. In the late 1920s, the statue was recast in bronze, a donation by the class of 1891. Pieces of the original wooden statue are embedded in the new bronze to preserve its mystical power. Commissioning Week activities, such as the climbing of Herndon Monument, meal formations, and the march to graduation all start in Tecumseh Court, directly in front of Tecumseh and Bancroft Hall. Today, midshipmen toss pennies at the statue prior to taking their final exams for good luck. The Herndon Monument holds great significance for the midshipmen. It is a rite of passage for every plebe. At the end of their freshman year, the plebes climbed the greased monument and replaced the Dixie-style plebe cap with an upperclassman hat. Dahlgren Hall was opened on March 7, 1903, and for a long time was used as an armory. It was the site of John Paul Jones's commemoration on April 24, 1906, and in 1975, it was reopened as a student union. During commissioning week, it is used for the ring dance, the Blue Angel reception, the dance for the graduating class and their guests on Monday night, and the farewell ball. Halsey Fieldhouse was named after the dynamic, irrepressible William B. Bull Halsey from the United States Naval Academy class of 1904. It houses the Academy's athletic facilities, including offices, classrooms, Misery Hall for first aid treatment, the Academy's concerts, and other public gatherings. It is used during commissioning week for both graduation and the color parade in case of rain. Mitcher Hall was named for Mark Pete Mitcher. His loyalty to the Navy was clearly exemplified when, on the eve of the Battle of the Philippine Sea, he braved the danger of enemy submarines and illuminated the decks of the carriers to guide his weary pilots home. The formal hop for the first, third, and fourth classes is held on Mitcher Terrace. Mahan Hall was originally the student center of the Academy and home of the library from 1907 to 1973. It is used throughout the year for plays, lectures, and other activities. It is named for the great naval strategist and historian Alfred Thayer Mahan. John Warden Field usually hosts two important events during commissioning week: the dedication parade on Friday and the color parade, the last parade for the class of 1985 on Tuesday. Only the color parade was held this year due to rain on Friday of commissioning week. Friday, May 17th, 1985. Opening color ceremony. Commissioning week activities usually open with the raising of morning colors by the Superintendent's Honor Guard, 2 Marine Corps platoons from the Annapolis Barracks. Due to inclement weather, the ceremony was canceled. Dedication parade. Due to inclement weather, the dedication parade was also not held. For this reason, we have lengthened the coverage of the color parade. Plebe recognition ceremony. The Herndon Monument, a 33-foot granite monument built in 1859, is a testament to the valor of Commander William Lewis Herndon, who went down with his ship in 1857. One of the very first events of every commissioning week is the climbing of Herndon. On May 21st, 1982, the class of 1985 made their climb and completed it in 1 hour and 44 minutes, earning the right to be called youngsters. The origins of the climb go back to the wild antics at the end of graduation when the plebes turn their hats and jackets around, form a human chain, performing a snake dance through the yard and Lover's Lane. They chanted, "Tain't no more plebes." In 1915, an inventive upperclassman placed his cover on top of Herndon Monument to be removed by 2 plebes as a final rite of passage. Eventually, the plebes' snake dance was eliminated in the 1940s. It has been replaced by the climbing of Herndon Monument as the final test for the plebes before they become youngsters. The climb was made more difficult by greasing it and gluing the cover to the top. The upperclassman's cover was replaced by the Dixie Cup-style plebes hat. For a time, the grease was removed from the event, but it has returned. In 1967, when the graduation ceremonies were moved to the stadium, the climbing event was changed to Friday of commissioning week. Behind the historic efforts of plebes in climbing Herndon is the legend that the first man to the top will become admiral. It is also a tradition that the superintendent presents the winner with shoulder boards of an admiral mounted on a plaque. In 1982, Sonny Dean received that honor. The record time of 1 minute and 30 seconds by the class of 1969 was completed without grease. The average climb takes about an hour and a half. The class of '88 took 3 hours, 12 minutes, and 23 seconds to achieve the feat. Right before the climb, the class of '88 assembled in T Court, and with a firing of a cannon, they run to the monument. Saturday, May 18th, 1985. YP static display. During commissioning week, the midshipmen and their parents have several opportunities to go inside the Yard Patrol or YP ships. The YP squadron is dedicated to enhancing the seamanship skills of the midshipmen. The squadron accomplishes this through daily training operations that resemble those of a destroyer squadron in the fleet. The squadron conducts several training cruises in the Chesapeake and Delaware Bays. New YP ships are being phased in. These new boats are 20 feet longer than the former ones. They are made of fiberglass instead of wood. They are air-conditioned. They have radar, radios, and other equipment used in the midshipmen's training. Qualifying for the command of a YP takes 3 years of hard work with several practical and oral examinations. The plebes or fourth-class midshipmen qualify as deck seamen, learning navigation basics, standing watches as lee helmsmen and helmsmen. The youngsters of third class navigate the boats while qualifying as officers of the deck in port and engineering officers of the watch. The second class midshipmen are boat executive officers, and during the year complete requirements to become officers of the deck underway and as chief engineers. After completing this training and passing a final rigorous exam, they earn the right to wear the gold star of a midshipman commanding officer. One first-classman is the squadron's commodore. In 1985, the position was held by Midshipman Lieutenant Hurley of the 26th Company. United States Naval Academy Band Concert. During commissioning week, the Naval Academy Band performs 3 concerts, a tradition that goes back 125 years. The original band had only a fifer and a drummer. In 1852, a bandmaster and 11 musicians were hired and paid for by the midshipmen and officers, who contributed 25 cents each. In order to raise the money for the band's dress uniforms, one of the early superintendents ordered all the grass on the Academy grounds to be mowed and sold as hay. During Vice Admiral Porter's superintendency, the band played at so many cadet hops that the yard was nicknamed Porter's Dancing Academy by the students at St. John's. The most well-known band leader was Charles Zimmerman. At 26, he remains the youngest band leader at the Academy, a post he held for 29 years. Many of the marches and songs he composed are still played at the graduation concerts. Charles Zimmerman had so many medals and decorations that the midshipmen used to joke that if he fell overboard in full dress, he would easily drown. The midshipmen also teased him greatly about the many marches he wrote for each graduation class. Zimmerman took the criticism to heart, and in 1906, he collaborated with the Academy choir director to write a song that has become known as the official Navy song, recognized the world over, Anchors Aweigh. The band expanded to 74 men in 1919, matching the expanded size of the brigade. It was also recognized on the same level as the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C., playing weekly nationwide radio broadcasts. In 1939, they represented Maryland in the New York World's Fair. They provided musical support for the brigade and naval recruiting while representing the Navy in patriotic performances. The Academy Band has played in nearly all of the June Week activities since 1853. It stands today at about 60 men. Meal formation.
Dana, Timmons, new information, UFO information, sunlight, Mexico outside, maybe new meal is. Quarter pound burgers, kosher dough, slice mac and cheese, slice, tomatoes, kosher dough, fruit jello, topping ice, lemons, milk, also the watches, 10 white, 30 country houses, assistant house, the watches, 10 cream, 18 country houses, midshipman house, the watches, midshipman 10 guild day, first regiment agent, major events, the yard, up, the rest of the week is just cruise, 10 minutes, sir.
Meal formations at the Academy occur 3 times a day, from September through commissioning week. Formal inspections occur each Friday. The morning formation is at 0730 or 7:30 in the morning and is held inside Bancroft. The other 2 formations, noon and dinner, are held in T Court and on the terraces around Bancroft as long as it is not raining and the temperature is above 58 degrees Fahrenheit. The formations last 10 to 15 minutes and they end with the brigade marching into Mother B, Bancroft Hall. This particular formation, which took place on Friday, April 26, was taped so that the class of 1985 could be included. Sunday, May 19th, 1985. Baccalaureate services. Sailing Awards. Since sailing is the heart of the Navy, it is very fitting that these awards honor those midshipmen who have excelled in this area. Held just outside the Robert Crown Sailing Center, the ceremony honors the inshore sailing team, captained by Midshipman First Class Richard Merriman, and the offshore sailing team, captained by Midshipman First Class Michael Christman. The following awards were given: Intramural Awards, Intercollegiate Awards, Professional Development Awards, Officer Representative Presentations, John Paul Jones Trophy. The Academy Band provided music. Service orientation parties. Parental orientation meetings are held on Sunday for several of the services. The purpose of these meetings is to introduce parents to the branch chosen by their sons and daughters. The meetings are held in various locations. The Marine Corps meeting was held in Mahan Hall on Sunday. Superintendent's Garden Party. During the Superintendent's Garden Party, parents are given an opportunity to meet the Superintendent, Admiral Larson. The location is the Superintendent's Garden, which lies directly behind the Superintendent's house on Blake Road, right next to the chapel. The house was built in the early 1900s. The garden is used during the year for social occasions. Dinner in King Hall. If a midshipman were asked what part of the academy is unforgettable, his reply would probably be King Hall. During 4 years at the academy, a midshipman goes there as many as 3 times a day, 7 days a week, at least 2,000 times during his full stay at the academy. King Hall is the midshipman's dining room where over 13,000 meals are served every day. During commissioning week, each regiment and their guests are invited to dinner. It is one of the few times during the 4 years at the academy when parents and friends are invited to eat in King Hall. End Dance. The Navy End Dance was created to honor Navy athletics. The athletes enjoy an evening of dancing in Hubbard Hall. Invited to the dance are the superintendent and Mrs. Larson, patrons and patronesses, the captains of each sport who act as hosts, the varsity sport officer representatives, the varsity coaches, and the midshipmen participating in Navy varsity sports. Monday, May 20th, 1985. Naval Review. Drum and Bugle Corps. The Drum and Bugle Corps, known as D&B, perform many concerts during the year. In the fall, they entertain the fans during the halftimes of football games with their field shows. In April, they perform at City Dock for Annapolitans, and for Commission Week, they present a concert formation. Midshipman Lieutenant Commander Chris Williams, 7th Company, is in charge of this presentation. Blue Angels. No other Commissioning Week event draws more interest than the Blue Angels. The United States Navy Flight Demonstration Team draws Academy guests, Annapolitans, Marylanders, and people from surrounding states. The Blue Angels were organized in June of 1946 and reorganized in 1951 after the Korean War. They are presently based in Jacksonville, Florida. The aircraft used by the Blue Angels is a 39-foot McDonnell Douglas A-4F Skyhawk, an attack plane with a flying range of 920 miles and a maximum speed of 670 miles per hour. The Blue Angels squadron has a naval flight officer, a maintenance officer, 74 enlisted personnel, and 7 Navy or Marine pilots, each with over 1,500 hours flight time in tactical jet aircraft. One of these pilots narrates the aerial demonstrations and provides orientation flights for the news media. 2 pilots fly solo as maximum performance demonstrators, and 4 fly in the famous diamond formation. Most of the maneuvers performed at the graduation are the same combat moves taught to every Navy and Marine Corps pilot, performed from treetop height to 60,000 feet. They will fly in two basic formations during the show. One, the famous Blue Angel Diamond, where there is a wingman on each of the leader's wings, followed closely behind and below by the slot man. The second formation is the Delta, where all 6 aircraft perform a series of loops and rolls while maintaining a minimum distance between the planes.